Kyle is a janitor. He's also a werewolf. And now he's got the night shift. Try not to kill anyone while working to get your paycheck. In a stealth comedy game with surprises around every corner. This is WereCleaner, and this is the first of many stealth games that I will be reviewing. In honor of that, I figured we should have a specific system in place to truly personify stealth. So I'd like to introduce to you the 5 T's of stealth: tasks, terrain, tools, threats, and tension. Let's take a deeper dive into each. The first T, tasks. What is the objective of each mission? What are your character's goals? We will also somewhat discuss narrative and dialogue, things of that nature here a bit. The second T, terrain. Let's talk about level design. Is it the same map for every mission? Does the map evolve as you progress? Or rather, is there a good variety of maps present throughout the game? The third T, tools. What are the tools available at your disposal? Does your character have any unique skills and abilities? How does something as simple as movement feel? Are there environmental hazards you can use to your advantage? The fourth T, threats. Here we will talk about enemy design. Are there multiple types of enemies? Do you have to interact with different enemies in unique ways, or is it just reskins? Are there any other threats or obstacles, such as solving puzzles or tricky platforming sections? The fifth and final T, tension. Here we will discuss the accumulation of all aspects of the gameplay. All of the first 4 T's come together to influence the fifth. How addictive is the gameplay loop? How difficult is the game? These are what I consider the fundamentals of stealth gaming. So let's discuss the 5 T's of stealth specific to the WereCleaner. In the WereCleaner, you play as Kyle. He is the janitor at Howlin' Hugs and also a werewolf. After returning home one night, Kyle sees that his company is going to require a full week of overtime in order to get paid. As much as Kyle would love to skip this week, and as much as Kyle knows his werewolf appearance will cause a major panic, his rent is due and he needs the bag. In WereCleaner, there are 7 missions to match the 1 week of overtime. At the beginning of each day, Kyle must pass through a security checkpoint in order to enter the offices. At this checkpoint, Kyle talks with Daryl, the security guard at Howlin' Hugs. Truthfully, I love reading their little discussions at the start of every day, especially witnessing Daryl's enthusiasm. Each day when you start the next mission, Daryl will become more and more suspicious of what is going on in the office at night. Your goal in each and every mission is to clean up the various messes located throughout the office without being seen and causing a panic. As you progress through the game, each mission will provide different types of messes scattered throughout different locations of the map, requiring a variety of tools to clean them up. As stated in the features section on the Steam page, the WereCleaner has, quote, one unique and interconnected game world filled with secret routes and handcrafted details, end quote. All 7 missions of the WereCleaner are located on the same map, the offices of Howlin' Hugs. With the messes of each mission scattered throughout various locations, even while using the same map, the game never starts to feel repetitive. There's a large number of rooms located throughout the building, each with a very unique feel in terms of the purpose of the room and how it tests the player to maneuver through it. As a janitor, your purpose is to clean. Naturally, this means your tools are suited to your job. As a janitor, Kyle is able to swap between a power washer and a vacuum. With the power washer, Kyle can, Spray water to clean messes. With the vacuum, Kyle has two options. Vacuum any debris throughout the office, but also shoot out paper balls to distract his coworkers. When and if a coworker picks up one of these paper balls, they will then proceed to the nearest trash can to dispose of it. Although it has a very limited range, Kyle can also put a trash bag on his coworkers' heads to temporarily blind them. The trash bags can also be used to trap critters that are involved with the messes. General movement in this game feels very good, even without any sort of special movement abilities. Last but not least, there's what I like to call Rage Mode. I'm not sure if there's an official coined term for it, but that is how I will be referring to it. Rage Mode is what occurs when a coworker fully spots Kyle. At this time, you are no longer in control. Kyle will lock onto the painted coworker, sprint at them, and tear them apart as a giant bite covers the screen. After a coworker dies, Kyle is able to either eat or carry the body. Carrying the body can help you escape other coworkers who could be approaching, but ultimately you will have to eat the body. Doing so will create a new mess that you then must clean in addition to everything else. Present throughout every level is a timer. In my experience, this was never really an issue. The only instance in which I timed out was when I purposely did so for science and in order to get an achievement. 2 birds, 1 stone. The first level is basically a tutorial, as Kyle is not in his werewolf form and there are no actual threats. From levels 2 through 6, the only threats are all your fellow coworkers wandering around the offices. I usually refer to these as basic or standard enemies. These basic enemies won't really cause you to fail, but they will spread a panic and cause extra time lost if you are forced to go on a killing spree and then stop to eat and clean all the new messes. These enemies can also be alerted by the blood left behind from eating another coworker, which will then continue the chain. These standard enemies also have a timer over their heads, so you will be aware of when they will move locations. Now, on the final mission, there is one major change. I don't really want to spoil this too heavily, but Daryl, the security guard, will begin to hunt you down. Aside from the NPCs, there are of course the messes that need to be cleaned. While not exactly a threat, this is another sort of obstacle you must overcome. This is why I mentioned other aspects such as puzzles or platforming. While none of the messes are exactly difficult, they do take time, and occasionally people will wander into the rooms that you are cleaning, especially on that last level. Also, those damn critters move around so much when you're trying to catch them, it drives me crazy. Personally, I really enjoy the tension in WereCleaner. The gameplay loop is very addicting. It almost feels like taking Power Wash Simulator and adding stealth mechanics into the equation to increase the tension while keeping the cleaning satisfaction. Look, completing each mission in and of itself is definitely not the most difficult thing in the world, but going for the perfect run on each mission can be a grind. I didn't bother to do it for every mission, but going for 5 stars, no kills on some of these levels can really be difficult. Racing against the clock, not for failure, but just for more prestige, can be very fun and really up the tension. Once again, referencing the final mission and the final boss Daryl, the tension skyrockets in such a good way. Again, I don't wish to spoil it, but cleaning up messes now with your life on the line completely changes the vibe. I do want to mention that I am aware of how similar this game seems to Serial Cleaner, but I have not yet played that and therefore will not comment on it. I love the vibes of this short and sweet free stealth game. The dark humor, the cutesy aesthetic, the solid narrative and dialogue present throughout, and of course that addicting gameplay loop mean that I would highly, highly recommend the WereCleaner to anyone.